theology,
sports,
entertainment,
personal issues,
and more. You're listening
to The Conversation 95.
Wow, it's been a minute. A long minute, long minute. And I know everyone's having a lot of questions as to why I sort of just, ghosted everyone, and why I didn't really continue with my episodes. So there's a lot of reasons why 2020 went down the way it went down. The biggest reason as to why I couldn't manage to do any episodes after the one I did with Mr. Zimba was mainly because I actually was looking for a studio where I could actually record from. Because previously, especially when I do the episodes on my own, I'm normally recording from my room, and because of the place we've moved to, recording from my room is a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge. It was a challenge anyways, but it's become more of a challenge just to find some time to actually record an episode. So that's actually what I'm currently working on, trying to find a proper studio. I'm currently recording this episode from my room because I actually just seized an opportunity to say, let me record, since it seems like the house is a bit quiet, and I get to do an episode uninterrupted, and hopefully it stays that way throughout the episode. So anyways, by God's grace, we've all made it to 2023, and we thank God for that. He's definitely been faithful. He's always faithful, and even when we stumble, he's definitely faithful. The problem is it's always on our side and not his side. So thank God for his sovereignty. Thank God for how he's kept us throughout the year. I think there's a lot of people that have passed on, and they've left this world, but for a very good reason, and in God's divine plan, we are still alive, we're still breathing, and he's kept us on this earth to fulfill what we need to fulfill, and ultimately to glorify God. My friend Joel Riaz, shout out to Joel, he put up a picture saying, it's like a meme, actually. It's a cartoon meme with one character talking to the other, saying we have 365 days, and then the other guy replies 365 opportunities. And on the post he put a caption saying 365 days to glorify God, and I think that's a good goal to have for the year. So we're already at day 3. Recording this on the 3rd. We're already on day 3. And the year already feels a bit hectic. Sorry about my voice. Actually, I have a bit of a cough, sore throat, and my nose is kind of blocked as well. So yeah, if you hear my voice seeming a bit different, that's the main reason. So I had a couple of people lined up, and the biggest one I was looking forward to was the first lady on the podcast. But unfortunately, we had some issues and things to do with schedules on both sides. Trying to get our schedules lined up together was a bit tricky, and it still is. I'm still trying to push for that episode, and hopefully this year we get it done, and we get it done, and we have even more conversations. So keep following, keep posting, keep following, keep liking. And by the way, I have a YouTube channel as well, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, I'll still maintain the anchor profile as well. And trying to get some new music out this year. I wanted to get something done by the end of last year, but time and finances didn't allow. So things that have been keeping me busy this Christmas, December period, November, December. Basically, my family and I are focusing a lot on agriculture at the moment. So we're in the planting stage. We're planting soya beans, and we're planning on doing some sunflower as well. And hopefully, by God's grace, a good harvest. We're expecting a good harvest to come later on in the year. So that's basically what's been keeping me occupied at the moment. Then, of course, Northrise University is always hectic. Shout out to NU. Shout out to NU. Shout out to NU. Shout out to the faculty, and shout out to all my classmates, lecturers, and everyone that's made my journey at NU interesting. There's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, but I think that's part of the uni experience. So I think in the end it'll be worth it. So as we continue to push, I ask that you keep me in your prayers. I'd like to be more focused, more driven towards excellence, and not just academically, but just in all things: spiritual excellence, academic excellence, in various areas of life in general. And so with that being said, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about, and just basically analyzing the passage in 1 Samuel. I think that's 1 Samuel chapter 14. I'll have a look at it after this. I'll have a look at it after this, just to confirm that it's 1 Samuel chapter 14. because I don't have my Bible with me right now. But in 1 Samuel chapter 14, this is the account where Samuel meets David for the first time and anoints him. So God tells the prophet Samuel, and actually before that, Samuel is sort of like lamenting for Saul, who was the king at that time. He was the king at that point in time, and he was kind of upset with Saul. Not kind of, but really upset and saddened by everything that Saul had done up until that point. Yeah, so you sort of feel like he was frustrated, upset, and all those emotions in one go. So God tells Samuel that he has chosen another person, and he leads him to the house of Jesse. Yeah, in Bethlehem. Yeah, and in the comments after this, if anyone can guess, if anyone can tell me who else is linked to Bethlehem, yeah, I would really want to know your answers. It's already obvious, but I just want to know what people would say in the comments. Yeah, so he goes to Bethlehem, meets Jesse, and then he's like being introduced to his sons, and then the sons are passing by Samuel, and Samuel's looking at the outward appearance of Jesse's sons, and at each point in time, he after a son passes, he's like, this should be the one, and then God says, no, this is not the one. This is not the one. Then he's like, okay, this should be the one now. Then he's like, no, this is not the one. Then further down in the passage, God says, I actually don't look at the outward appearance. I don't see as man sees. I don't look at the outward appearance. I look at the heart of the person. So before they get to sit down, Samuel tells Jesse and asks him, are these all your sons that have come? Then he says, no, there's but one, but he's in the fields, he's tending to the sheep and that kind of thing. So it's like, call him now, and we won't rest or sit down until he comes. So he comes, and then he looks at, again, Samuel looks at the appearance, but of course God sees what's in David's heart, this young man, David. And I think further in the scriptures, it talks about David being a man after God's own heart. So David passes by, and then the Lord says, behold, this is the person. Yeah, this is the person I have chosen. This is the person I've set apart. So Samuel anoints him, and then from that moment forward, the Lord began walking with David. So we were looking at this passage in family Bible study. I think that was yesterday. Not yesterday, but the other day, the day before yesterday. And we're talking about how this year we would all like the goal is that we would all like to be set apart for the Lord and to be chosen for the Lord to be used or to be of use to the Master throughout the year, and having a heart and a spirit of humility, and just asking and praying to God that He might send us where we need to go. He might lead us where we need to be led to, and that kind of thing. Yeah. And basically, in the same way that David was chosen, in the same way that David was chosen and set apart from all of his brothers, I think that should speak to how us as believers, regardless, I believe that when we get saved, when we're saved, we're chosen. At that point, we're chosen. We're picked out of the crowd. We're picked out from where the wheat that's picked up from the tares. So when we get chosen, in general or by default, our lives are heading in the direction where we get to be used by God. But at times, we're not as effective as we ought to be. So I think our pursuit should be to ask God to use us in an effective way, and if there's anything hindering us from being of use to God. Yeah, sorry, interruptions. Okay, so I need to finish this thought. Connecting. Where was I? Okay. So we need. I think the whole point of analyzing the passage is that we need to be as effective as we can. And then what did I say after that? Yeah, okay, I was talking about things that could hinder that, but I think the main hindrance for our effectiveness as believers is obviously sin, and of course, if our lives are compromised, we cannot be as effective as we need to be. So it's important to pursue righteousness, to pursue holiness, even as we are seeking to serve the Lord. We're seeking to walk with Him. We're seeking to draw closer to Him. Yeah. So it's a very good passage to look at. It also speaks to the issue of how Jesus was chosen. In the way it's sort of like the way King David was chosen and anointed. It's like a foreshadowing of Christ and the way he was chosen. My mind quickly goes to the account of the baptism of Jesus, where after he was baptized, the Holy Spirit descended upon him in the form of a dove. Yeah, and at that point, his ministry began. Yeah. So those are a couple of thoughts on that. Please comment for any additions, any corrections, that kind of thing. I can't tell you enough how I appreciate feedback for everyone who's listening. There's been so many people that have been blessed by the podcast, and it's all to the glory of God. There's a lot of topics that I would like to finish from last year, and hopefully by God's grace I'll get to finish them. So yeah, that's basically it for now. Look out for the next episode next week, and I pray that this year will be fruitful for everyone, and that ultimately in everything that we'll do and achieve and push towards will all bring glory to God's name.